Hello. I want to go ahead and take an opportunity to welcome you to your honors chemistry class. I'm Mrs. Moran, and I'm going to have you guys for the semester. Now, with my schedule, all of you listening to my video are enrolled in chemistry, and more specifically honors chemistry. However, some of you are individuals that are going to be remote for the semester, and some of you opted for the hybrid. And so this video is going to cover kind of two things. I'm just going to give you a brief introduction about myself, and then I'm going to walk you through the syllabus and discuss a little bit about what I expect from you and different key elements to the classroom, especially when it comes to remote learning. So to start out, a little bit about myself. I am not from here. I originally grew up in a little town called Yankton. It's in the southeast corner of the state of South Dakota, right on the border between South Dakota and Nebraska. And so there's a picture of the town I grew up in that right-hand corner, and that's actually taken from a double-decker bridge that you can walk on both levels, basically from the state of South Dakota into Nebraska and vice versa. And so during the summers, when I have the opportunity, I go back and visit my family there. And then I spent quite a bit of time on the western side of the state. I went to Black Hills State University, and that's in the town of Spearfish, South Dakota. I earned my bachelor's and master's from that university. On the same token, I spent some time teaching in a city of Rapid City. And you're probably wondering how in the world I ended up here. And so to backtrack, if you guys have ever been to Mount Rushmore, then you have been through kind of my neck of the woods of where I spent a lot of my time. So out there is an Air Force base called Ellsworth Air Force Base, and that's where I met my husband. So we are living here because we are stationed here at Scott Air Force Base and have been here for 4 years now. And so I've really enjoyed my time being stationed here. And so my husband, he's the one that is active duty, and is currently doing a deployment over in the Middle East. And so there's a picture of him on the right that kind of explains a little bit about him. So he's standing with part of the motorcade for the president, and so he is an aircraft refueler. So anytime a plane comes in and needs fuel, his career field, that's what they're responsible for doing, is refueling aircraft. And so anytime the president's in the area, their job is to go out and refuel Air Force One, or again, any other aircraft coming and going through the area. And there's a picture of us on the left-hand side. We, being military, have family kind of here, there, and everywhere. And so his family's mostly in the state of Michigan. So we get to go check out that neat area, and it's filled with lots of different beaches and things like that. So that picture was taken from Mackinac Island, which was a really neat place to take a trip to. The last little bit that I'm going to talk about myself is what else goes on in my house. So I have my husband, but I also have 3 rabbits that we have as our family. And so all of them are what we call free roaming. They don't spend any time in cages. They're all litter box trained, and so they all kind of each have a sliver of my house to run around in. In the upper left-hand corner, there's Bandit. I've had him for 5 years now, and we travel. The rabbits usually go with us, so we kind of look like a 3-ring circus because not many people travel with pets, much less rabbits. In the upper right-hand corner, the bunny in the house that's all gray, that is Celeste, and I've had her for 2 years now. My husband did a deployment to Spain and decided it was a great idea to get a tattoo, and so my way of evening the playing field was I brought home Celeste from a shelter that I volunteer for. Not a lot of people know that it exists, but there's a rabbit shelter where we have anywhere around 150 or so rabbits at a given time, and so I spend my Saturdays there helping clean cages and taking care of them. And then finally, the all black bunny in the bottom there, that is Shaylee. We've had her for just a year now. We brought her home to foster. She was having some health issues, and so we kind of got her on the mend, and she's very, very spunky, and so we couldn't bear to part with her, so she's joined our crew of rabbits. And so like I said, they all have their own personalities, and so from time to time I may have some funny stories to tell you of the different mischief they can find and cause, because they, again, all have their own unique personalities. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to run you through a little bit of the syllabus and talk just about some of the key points of this class. This PDF is in the classroom with this assignment. You have kind of two options. If you want to go ahead and open it up digitally, you can. You can add it to your drive. If you have the ability to print and you would prefer to have a hard copy, go ahead and print that out. So in the upper left-hand corner, those are going to be very important to keep track of because of the remote style of this class, and that is how to get a hold of me. So my email is very important to note. My first name is Christina with K, and there's another individual that has a name that starts with K, and his last name is Moran. So you need to be careful when you email me that my email is KR Moran. It's not K Moran. If you send it to K Moran, it won't get to me. And then I'm going to talk about Google Meet as we dive into the class. That's going to be another platform that we can use to have a video conference to work on areas that you have concern. The last one, which this isn't the best way to get a hold of me and more for a parent, is the number for the school and my extension to leave a voicemail. What's going to get you the most quick reply is getting a hold of me through Hangouts or using that email versus sending or leaving a voicemail with me. The next thing is, what in the world is chemistry? And so it's going to be very different than biology. So biology worked on the cycle of the cell, the parts and pieces of the cell. You probably remember the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Well, those days are behind you. And so there's going to be times in chemistry that you feel like you're more in a math class than you are in a science class. Chemistry is definitely a more math-heavy science, and so, like I said, it's going to be different. We're going to look at properties of matter, the particles in which matter is composed or made of, and how we can have energy changes take place, and how does that impact matter. And so, like I said, there's going to be times that we are definitely working with a lot of math, and then times not so much. We're going to try to push that math component off for a little bit, especially if we have the opportunity to return to school. So we'll play around with that a little bit more. So that leads us to, what do you need for the class? When you went through registration, you should have got a textbook. You definitely, even if you are working from home, you want to make sure that you are keeping your materials organized in some way, especially if and when we return to class. I give a lot of handouts. We don't really use the textbook very often, so I would highly recommend having a binder just for this class, and 2 inches should be plenty of space. The next thing, like I've mentioned, is math is very important, so a calculator is a must, and especially with the nature of this year, you need to get your own calculator, and a cell phone is not a calculator. If you have a graphing calculator, great, those will do what you need to do, but by no means are you expected to have a graphing calculator. The one that I have snipped into this document is a TI-30XS, and so they usually come in different colors, so you may already have this style calculator. If you go to Target, Walmart, look on Amazon, they're usually around $10. If you're really not sure if you have a scientific calculator, you can always take a picture of it, send it to me in an email, and I'll let you know if it's going to do what you need to do. The main thing is just working with exponents. Writing utensils are good. Highlighters, if you could get 2 different colors of your preference, that would be awesome for helping when we work through some different topics. Highlighting can be a useful way to break down information. Colored pencils, again, the nature of the year, it's in your best interest to have your own. Pack of 12 to 24 will be more than plenty. And then with the nature of this class, organization, keeping track of due dates, all those types of things, an agenda book, planner book is going to be super duper important. Maybe if you have a station that you're set up at home, maybe get a dry erase board, or if you work better with a digital agenda book, so to speak, like using your Google Calendar, that's fine, but you guys are definitely going to have to work through what's going to work for you to keep everything organized, because you're going to be juggling a lot. So the grading scale is going to follow that normal 10-point scale where an A is 90 to 100, and so on and so forth. So what the class is made up of in terms of assignments, you'll typically have some sort of daily assignment. We're going to do lab activities. They might just look a little bit different than a traditional lab. When we're doing the remote side of things, we will have quizzes, tests, and projects. So a traditional breakdown in terms of, it's really not new in terms of what you'll be graded on and with. In the upper right hand corner, and I'll do a video that walks you through this, but what I plan on doing with you guys is, and we're gonna do this by trial and error, is I would prefer that if you have questions, if you need help, what I'm gonna do is make a Google Calendar where you sign up for an appointment. So it will provide you an opportunity to ask me questions, and it'll allow us to work one-on-one. Currently my plan is I'm going to give you guys a 10 to 15 minute slot, and so you'll be able to sign up for those, and I'll have them throughout the day so that way you can reach me, especially for those of you that are fully remote. And so like I said, I'll make a video that shows you how to schedule that actual appointment and how to make it to that actual appointment. You may have had classes that did full groups and things like that. I just feel like the best way to help you is to meet one-on-one. Like I said, I'm more than willing to change things up so we can see if things are working, if things aren't working, and we can always change that plan. So the last little thing on this front side is responsibility. So every week the plan is on Monday that I'm going to give you an overall general schedule of what we have going on. And so with that, assignments are going to be graded along with that. So if you feel like there's an issue, maybe something got checked at a later time and I didn't get notified, whatever it may be, if something doesn't look right in SIS, maybe I typed in, it was supposed to be a 10 out of 10 assignment, but I typed the 1, but I didn't hit the 0 quite right. If something isn't right, I will always accommodate and make those changes if there was a mistake made. But the big thing is you guys have to let me know. I will look into it, and like I said, I'll fix if there was a mistake. The next thing is, even though we're working through a virtual platform right now, all of those policies apply in terms of academic integrity. You need to be doing your own work and keeping that academic honesty. If plagiarism and copying and those types of things are taking place, then you may result in no credit for that assignment. And so you want to just, again, make sure that you are doing your own work. And again, if something isn't making sense, that's when you need to reach out to me, ask for help. Because if you're taking those shortcuts on daily type assignments, those are going to make bigger problems in the long run when we start looking at a test. The back half of the syllabus, now this is based on what we've done in the past. I'm not sure how far we'll get and if we're going to get all these chapters covered, but this is a general guideline of what you are expected to see in this class. Like I said, chemistry is looking at interaction in terms of matter and the energy changes that go with it. So we're going to start out with things that you maybe have seen, like how to classify matter, atomic structure, and then we're going to build into things that you haven't done before, like how to balance chemical reaction, how to do mole conversions, which all ties together into a wonderful topic of stoichiometry. So like I said, this is a general guideline, and it's going to change depending on what happens in terms of this school year. On the right hand side, I have some tips for how to make yourself a little bit successful. You need to get in a routine. You need to set an alarm, get into that morning routine, get up, get changed for the day, take a shower, those types of things, and get a healthy breakfast. You need to also find somewhere to work. Working from your bed may not be a good space, or if there's somewhere else where there's a lot of noise or distraction, probably not a good place. So if you have a desk or the dining room table, you just need to set yourself up with a nice clean space that kind of sets aside your home life from your school life. The next thing is, it's not good for you to sit and just work on homework nonstop for a couple of hours. You want to break your day up into manageable pieces. So like I said, you're going to have a daily or a weekly general plan, and then I'll give you a daily breakdown. what I would recommend that you do is look at what all of your classes have going on for the day, kind of make yourself a plan, and then plan out your day. And again, within there, make breaks for a snack, lunch, maybe go take a walk, those types of things. If you're having issues, all of those same people that are on campus when you're here are still here for you, even in a remote setting. So again, my job is to work with you, and I'm always here to help you. And unfortunately, with this virtual side of things, you don't get to see how much I do work with my students and what I do to help you. So the big thing is you've got to reach out to me if there's any issues in terms of technology, something not working, and then just if something isn't making sense. You still have your assistant principals. If you're needing help with your guidance counselors, they're still available to you as well. The next thing is I would recommend that you sign into Google. You need to sign into it daily. Now, weekends are obviously not necessary, but Monday through Friday you should be getting into Classroom and looking at each of your classes. Again, you have virtual side of things, so you could look into using your Google Calendar if you have another platform to organize assignments, or making some kind of planner using your school provided planner, or again, something else that works for you. And then the last kind of tip I have for you is your Chromebook. If you're using any other devices, try to charge those up each night, or make sure that when you set up your study space that you have an outlet nearby, just so again you're not worrying about your battery running out halfway through an assignment or a class meeting, those types of things. So what you can expect from me is on Monday I will have a tentative plan that will tell you what we're going to do for the week. I will never bump something up. So for example, let's say we have a quiz on Wednesday, I will never bump that quiz to Tuesday. But let's say things aren't going so well and we need some time to review those types of things, that quiz could possibly move from Wednesday to Thursday for the group, depending on how we are feeling about that. And then that will also tell you if there's any big projects, quizzes, and tests coming along. And then on Friday, we'll kind of wrap things up, and I'm going to get feedback from you via a Google form to make sure that everything is going okay. Because again, it's hard to know and get a feel in terms of how you guys are doing and understanding without that dialogue like we would get in a classroom. And then the last thing is just an email out there that if you are having issues with your Chromebook, if there's an issue with your Google part, those kinds of things, there's that e-learning at bths201.org that will be able to help you out if you're having issues overall with the technology. If you're having a more specific issue with the class, then you would reach out to me versus that email. So I know I kind of flew through this, but this is just kind of the tip of the iceberg here on what to expect again with the remote learning of this class. If you still have questions, tomorrow I will have a survey to send out to you guys. So think about if there's any areas you want me to cover more or discuss more with you. Please let me know in that survey that I will send out tomorrow.